In today's video, I'll be completing Hitman's The Showstopper with no HUD, suit only, silent assassin, master difficulty. The Hitman trilogy is one of my favourite franchises of all time and is almost infinitely replayable. I can very easily lose hours and hours just attempting one individual assassination or challenge, and it never ever gets old or feels boring. The challenge for today's video is simple: completing the very first mission without a HUD, silent assassin, suit only on master difficulty. If you're not familiar with Hitman, I'll quickly break it down for you. Silent assassin means in and out. Nobody can know I was there, nobody can notice me trespassing, nobody can know that the targets have been murdered, but accidents are allowed. Suit only means no disguises. The suit you start with is the suit you leave with no changes in between, and master difficulty comes with a couple of tough conditions. It means only one save opportunity per run, extra cameras are dotted around the map, NPCs are more likely to recognize me when wearing a disguise, combat is a lot more difficult. If somebody has been killed in a particularly violent way, their disguise becomes unusable, and all NPCs are more attentive to sound. The loadout for this mission and every mission here on out will be the original starting location, 47 signature suit, ICA 19 gold baller, the lockpick MK3 and 3 coins. The video will be broken down into two stages. The first stage will be the plan, where I'll be going through the level, scoping out the areas and coming up with the best course of action and making lots and lots of mistakes. The second stage will be the execution, where all HUD options will be turned off and I'll complete the mission based on the plan we designed in stage 1. Welcome to Supercut, the series where we take an entire let's play or game and squash it into one video. My name is Moses, and this is the Showstopper. For my first run, I started out by heading into the main hall and immediately located the first target, Viktor Novikov. The general idea when I started out was to find any items that would be useful and to find a path through the map without having to change disguises. The first opportunity presented itself in the form of Liza, who was being forced by her boss to infiltrate the secret meeting happening on the top floor. It was a simple case of waiting for them to finish talking, knocking her out, picking up her VIP pass and heading up to the top floor. On my way to the entrance, I got spotted by a camera, which was important to note to make sure that on the final run all cameras were avoided. I also opened a couple of doors and pushed my luck with the trespassing to determine where I could and could not go. I continued up to the top floor but couldn't go any further without first disposing of my gold baller, as I needed to be frisked. I headed back down, dumped the weapon, headed back up, got frisked, explored the top floor a little bit by climbing around and jumping through windows, found the second target, Dalia Margolis, and then eventually headed into the main area where the global elite were involved in a very sinister bidding war. I sat down for quite some time as I thought something would happen, but after about 2 minutes I realised I'd have to create my own opportunities for the assassinations. I carried on exploring the top floor and eventually headed over the balcony in an effort to break into Dalia's office, guarded by several henchmen. I shimmied across, clambered up, headed into the hallway outside her office and attempted to get past 3 guards. It was a bad idea and I was immediately spotted, so the guard escorted me out about 3 feet across the hallway. I wasn't too bothered about being spotted at this point, as we were still only in the planning stage. Straight away I headed back to the balcony, shimmied across and tried a different approach. This time I tried to distract the guards by tossing a coin, but it didn't work. I was spotted and then escorted out. I decided to try and find a different way in. I headed back around and into the attic space in order to find a route into Dalia's personal meeting room. There were a lot of henchmen guarding this area, so I needed to be careful. I continued around making mental notes of the location and the spots of the different henchmen when, as I was leaving, I got spotted. Instead of waiting to be escorted out, I just decided to leave of my own accord and found that I was back near those 3 henchmen from earlier, but this time I was on the other side. I headed into Dalia's small living area and found her along with 2 bodyguards. One of them decided to escort me out, as I was technically trespassing, which was fair enough. But as I was being escorted out, the guard who spotted me earlier came in and tried to arrest me. The henchmen then became hostile and peppered me with their weapons, and I immediately folded like a deck chair. I gained some good intel on this run, but it was time to take it back and try again. On run 2, I started by doing the same thing as last time by knocking out Liza and taking her VIP pass, but whilst I was waiting for her to finish speaking with her boss, I dumped my gold baller in a bin ready to be frisked later. For some reason, on my way out, a henchman just decided that he didn't like me anymore, and so I was spotted, ruining the silent assassin status. I headed round and up the stairs and entered into the attic space, where I was immediately spotted by a guard. He moved me less than a foot away from him, and that was that. I headed back down the stairs as I wanted to explore a little more, and found a large room with 2 guards and another staircase which led all the way down to the basement. I headed out onto the runway balcony and skulked my way through the room and out the window. I was trying to find a drain pipe that would lead to the top floor, but I couldn't find one, so headed back in and found a room with a random collection of art supplies. I waited for the 2 guards to finish talking and headed into an office. On the balcony, I found a scaffolding which led up to the attic space. This seemed like a good shortcut, but I wasn't sure how best to use it yet. I checked the map and noted where I was and where I needed to be, then snuck my way through, got caught by a guard who escorted me all the way to the ground floor. I tried to take him out in between, but everybody heard it, and so I decided to reset. On run 3, when heading into the main hall, I decided to take a different route and headed downstairs toward the basement through a small door under the grand staircase. I whipped out my gold baller to destroy the camera and ducked behind the wall to avoid the oncoming stylist. I had a quick perusal of the basement area to get a bearing of my surroundings and found a door in the kitchen which led upstairs. This was the staircase I found earlier which led to the runway balcony. I headed back the same route I went last time and got spotted by a guard, so knocked him out and carried on. Again, the planning stage was about gathering intel, not attaining victory. I snuck past the guards in the art room, through the office, up the scaffolding, through the attic space and over the balcony right next to Dahlia's personal bathroom, only to be spotted by a guard peering out the bathroom window. I knocked him out and hid the body and tried to distract the second guard with the radio. This didn't work, so I flooded the sink, which caused him to come running. I knocked him out, hid the body, and decided to place his gun on the coffee table in the middle of the room. My line of reasoning was that the guard that followed Dahlia around would see the weapon, take it to a weapon lockbox, and leave Dahlia alone where I could then take her out. Instead, a different guard came in to pick up the weapon, so I had to distract Dahlia's bodyguard with a flooded sink anyway. He saw me coming as I knocked him out, and then I headed into the room to take out Dahlia. I knocked her out, shot her dead, picked up some lethal pills she had, dragged her body into the bathroom, climbed back out of the bathroom window, into the attic, out of the attic, down the stairs, and then had an idea. What if I used the lethal pills I picked up from Dahlia on some food that Victor ate? I tried to get past the bar staff but wasn't able to, and everybody became alerted to my presence. I decided it was too late to do anything with the pills, so choked Victor, snapped his neck and attempted to hide. My attempts at hiding were actually somewhat successful until I came face to face with a random guard in the hallway who struck me down. Time to try again, but with the new intel regarding the lethal pills. Same as last time, for run 4 I headed downstairs and shot the camera. I then ran past a chef who heard the sound of my footsteps and went to report me for trespassing. I made my way up the stairs through the fancy rooms, shot the guard outside the art room where his body was immediately found, shot the 2 art room guards, and decided to just reset because it all became a bit ridiculous. Run 5, I headed a little bit further than I'd gone before in an attempt to gather further intel. I headed toward the edge of the map on the outside and took out some cameras. I noticed a drain pipe which led all the way to the top floor, so waited for the guard to pass and then shimmied all the way up. The drain pipe led me right next to a random guy who noticed me hanging from the ledge, but I paid him no mind. I shimmied my way across the entirety of the outside of the building and managed to get all the way across to Dahlia's office. I was back where I found myself in the first run, and this time I tried to distract the guards again by dropping a chandelier. The guards became the human embodiment of "not my problem" and pretended like it didn't happen, meaning that I still had no way of sneaking past. I tossed a coin behind them, but as I did, the staff member was unbelievably close to noticing me, to the point he came to investigate. As he joined me on the balcony, I conked him out with a crowbar, and as I began to move the body away from prying eyes, Dahlia's secretary spotted me committing this heinous act, and so in a moment of panic, I threw the crowbar directly at her cranium as well. Unfortunately, around the corner from her was another guard, and because I was out of non-lethal weapons, I had no choice but to go for the kill. I left the bodies where they were and tried sneaking past the 2 guards that were left by tossing another coin. I knocked one out, then the other, and headed into Dahlia's meeting room where there was just 1 guard left. I tried to toss a coin to have him investigate, but he didn't hear it or just ignored it, so I just launched the crowbar at him from behind the sofa, which did the job. I took out the second guard in the bathroom room, but decided to reset the mission as I'd left way too many bodies out in the open for this to become a viable run. Run 6, I headed to the left and immediately got spotted by a camera, which I then destroyed. After hopping the fence, I tossed a coin to distract the guards, shot another camera, and then got caught trespassing. I unlocked the door to escape and got caught trespassing again, tried to run away back outside and got caught again, so of course reset the run. My favourite route so far was heading down the stairs, shooting the camera, avoiding the stylist, moving through the kitchen and heading up the stairs, which I managed successfully on run 7. I headed up the stairs, onto the balcony, through the fancy rooms, through the art room, through the office, up the scaffolding, through the attic, distracted the guards, avoided detection, headed into Dahlia's meeting room, knocked out the guard, hid the body, got to pick up his weapon, knocked out the second guard, hid the body, almost got caught by another guard who came to retrieve the weapon, flooded the sink, distracted Dahlia's bodyguard, knocked him out, hid the body, and then realised Dahlia had already left the room, so reset the mission. Run 8, I did exactly the same as last time, but walked really slowly the whole time, trying to make it look as cool as possible, but as I got to the 3 guards outside Dahlia's meeting room, I was spotted by one of them, so had to reset. Picked up the pace in run 9 and made my way along the exact same path, but this time I saved the game when I reached the attic space to make it easier during the planning stage. I made it through the attic space and waited for Dahlia to leave her room so I could head in and knock out her guard. This time I did pick up his weapon, hid the body, took out the second guard in the bathroom and hid his body, and then waited for Dahlia and her bodyguard to show up. As soon as I saw them coming, I flooded the sink so her bodyguard would become immediately distracted, skipping the conversation that they were about to have. I knocked him out and just about managed to take out Dahlia before she opened the doors to the auction room. I picked up her lethal pills, hid her body, hit the bodyguard's body, dropped the weapon and headed back through the attic. It was a lot more difficult heading out as opposed to in, and I was spotted by one of the guards. He escorted me all the way down to the ground floor, which is where I wanted to go anyway, so it saved me having to sneak past all the guards on my way out. I weaseled my way through the backstage hallways in an attempt to get into the kitchen, which I knew that Victor passed through. I tossed a coin to distract the model who was standing on the corner, not realising that she wouldn't have bothered me anyway, as she didn't care if I was trespassing or not. There was a waiter stood outside the kitchen, so I needed to take care of him before I could get in there. I flooded the sink in the bathroom next to him and took him out, but a model outside the bathroom heard the commotion and alerted a nearby guard who came to check out the disturbance. Hiding in the wardrobe and seeing the confused look on his face was priceless. After he left, I headed into the kitchen and poisoned the food that Victor would eat, thinking that I'd found the route I'd take to complete my flawless victory. But alas, it wasn't Victor who ate the food. It was his bodyguard. Unfortunately for the bodyguard, the pills I'd laced the food with were lethal, and so as soon as he took a bite, he flopped to the floor and died. Victor tried to make a break for it, but I cracked him over the head and snapped his neck, and then reset the run. Run 10 saw me down the stairs, hit the camera, this time hit the stylist too, and so began my frenetic search for a non-lethal poison to use on Victor's bodyguard. I scoured the entirety of the map looking for just one tiny little dose of non-lethal poison and left an absolute bloodbath in my wake. I killed every person that dared challenge me and even some that didn't, but eventually I was bested by some guards in the very place I wanted to use the poison, which felt like some sort of poetic justice. The hunt for the poison continued in run 11 and it reached its height in a showdown with a bunch of guards under the catacombs. Again, eventually I was bested by some guards and had to reset. It was getting a little bit ridiculous that I couldn't find a single piece of non-lethal poison anywhere in the entire map, and I was getting a little bit fed up. In run 12, I carried on with the bloodbath, even picking up a shotgun to appease my ever-increasing frustration. With the sound of the blasts ringing in my ears, I took out the entire basement unit. However, the third chef was missing for some reason. As I headed through the usual door to head upstairs, I ran into chef number 3, and in a frenzy, I shot him point blank. Imagine my surprise when I found out that upon his death, he dropped exactly what I needed. And if you head back to run 10, you will find the exact moment where I ran past the poison and didn't even notice. Finally, with the knowledge of the poison's whereabouts, it was time to try again in an attempt to poison Victor's bodyguard. Run 13, I headed downstairs, through the kitchen, took out chef number 3, and much to my surprise, the other chefs didn't notice. I picked up the poison and got spotted by the other chef on my way through the door. I paid him no mind and headed to the first floor to hopefully poison the food. I crept into the kitchen, waited for the waitress to turn her back, poisoned the food, and left just in time for Victor and his bodyguard to pass by. I followed the now very sick bodyguard into the bathroom, knocked him out, and picked up his things, including his mobile phone. Little did I know that this item would be the saving grace I needed to make this run absolutely perfect, because I didn't know what my next steps would be. All I knew up to this point was that to get Victor, I'd need to take out his bodyguard, but fortunately for me, his bodyguard had just the item I needed for my flawless victory. Out of curiosity, I made a call from the bodyguard's phone, and to my utter amazement, it was a call to all security in the entire building, essentially telling them to evacuate both targets to the safe zone. I wasn't sure where the safe zone was, but I could hazard a guess that it would be the security room in the basement, so that is where I headed. Unfortunately, this wasn't the safe zone, but using my instinct, the location looked familiar. I headed toward the runway balcony, narrowly avoided being spotted by half a dozen guards, waltzed through the fancy rooms, and lo and behold, Victor and Dahlia were just coming out of the office linked to the art room. With all of that in mind, I reset because I knew I was finally in the end game. Run 14. On the way down to the basement, I was spotted by the stylist, so reset. Same with Run 15. Run 16, I managed to take him out and headed to the kitchen to grab the rat poison from Chef 3. I dumped the body, picked up the poison, and was spotted on my way out. I carried on with the run just to practice the next steps, but it ended in an absolute disaster, so I reset. Run 17. Took out the stylist, took out the chef, dumped the body, grabbed the poison, almost got spotted by the other, headed up the stairs, got berated by a supermodel, flooded the sink, distracted the waiter, poisoned the food, hid in the second bathroom, waited for Victor and his bodyguard to show up, watched him eat the poisoned fish, knocked him out, grabbed the phone, headed upstairs, waited for the guards to move, headed through the fancy rooms and got spotted on the way into the art room, so reset. Run 18. Caught by the stylist. Run 19, I worked my way through according to plan, and this time just before the art room I used my one and only save to make it easier if I got spotted, which it did because I got spotted immediately. A quick reload for run 20 took me outside the art room. I headed through into the office space and dialed the number. I hid on the balcony and waited for the guards to deliver both the targets safely to me, but realised that even after the guards left, Victor was facing me directly, so as soon as I showed myself, I'd be spotted. I was hoping to be able to get back into the room and use the winch to drop the chandelier on them, but I couldn't get back in without being seen, so opted for shooting the chandelier instead. However, I have terrible aim and ended up shooting the wrong part, and so both targets immediately saw me. I shot Dahlia, but Victor then did a runner. I decided to aim from the second balcony and found it much easier to shoot the chandelier, and then I realised I also had a perfect hiding spot in the form of the scaffolding. Time to reset. Run 21, when heading into the office, I got spotted. Run 22, I tried making the call before I got into the office, but found that you can't open doors for some reason whilst you're on the phone, so again, spotted, reset. Hidden on the balcony on run 23, ready for the duo to arrive, I came down with a case of itchy trigger finger and accidentally dropped the chandelier about 2 minutes too early. Run 24, I made the call and then climbed the scaffolding and hid in the attic until the guards left. I was finally able to take out both Victor and Dahlia together with no witnesses. It didn't seem like anybody had heard the crash, which was perfect because it meant that escaping would be much easier than if a ton of guards swarmed the area. As I opened the door to leave, a guard noticed Victor's body immediately, so I closed the door and tried to find a different way out, but there wasn't. I climbed back in and found the guards carting off the cadavers, and so decided to make a break for it. I'd already decided which way would be the best way out, so I hightailed it through the map in reverse, back down into the basement, and right next to the kitchen I was able to make my exit. With a solid plan in place, it was finally time to attempt the perfect master run. But before that, I'd like to quickly thank our sponsor for today, me! At the time of recording this, I only have 2 subscribers who, don't get me wrong, I appreciate to the moon and back. Thank you so much for your support. At the moment, I'm working a full-time job, and every spare moment I get, I'm recording footage, writing scripts, editing videos. And so if you've enjoyed the video so far, then please consider subscribing and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. With all that being said, it was finally time to attempt the perfect master run. I made a couple of practice runs just to make sure I had it down, and then I turned off all the HUD options except the silent assassin and master difficulty just as proof that I wasn't cheating. So, without further ado, I present to you my no HUD, suit only, silent assassin, master difficulty run of the Showstopper.
Big, bold, and impossible to ignore.
Welcome, sir. Enjoy the show.
What?
Oh, come the fuck on!
Attention all security. We have a code 17. I repeat, we have a code 17. Secure Peacock and Cobra. Over.
What the hell is going on? Are we safe? Are we clear? That report, go. Give them a run. We're clear, sir. Could have been a lot worse. We're all in one piece.
I'm in your debt. Thank you. Well, this is cozy.
Save it, Dahlia. It's simple procedure. We'll be out of here as
That
soon
is Dahlia Margolis, supermodel turned spy master.
Power billionaires, and borderline supervillains upstairs are still in a spending mood by then.
Can we do this at home?
Fine. So what's this about, anyway?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Well done, 47. Viktor Novikov is next. Both targets are down. Great work. Now head towards an exit.
Thank you so much for watching, and do be sure to subscribe to keep up to date with all the videos coming soon. Thank you. God bless.